Oh boy, what in the bloody hell is going on with Ubisoft? This story absolutely went nuclear over the weekend, and because of that, and because it seemed so wacky and bizarre, our team looked into it. Connor looked into this in full depth. Now, today, you are going to get the full story. Are Ubisoft deleting players' games, or are they not? What lies in between the middle? What's actually happening? Here is the story. So, a cracked game and anti-DRM sort of enthusiast, PC enjoyer, found a rather perfect scenario for things over the weekend, where they posted the following tweet, where they received an email from Ubisoft claiming that the company were closing the individual's Uplay Ubisoft account as a result of inactivity, giving them notice that it would be closed in 30 days of time, with a note that if they resumed using the account, of course, it would not be deleted. Now, obviously, this would not only mean deletion of the account, but also deletion of any games or DLC purchased on the account. This is something that then was seemingly confirmed by an Ubisoft customer support Twitter agent who said, "We certainly do not want you to lose access to your games or account." Right? And that, that doesn't sound great. Does this sound like, yeah, you better log in or else you'll have no games? Feels like that. So, per their terms of service, this is something they reserve the right to do. They don't say explicitly when they would move to delete an account, but they do retain the option after 6 months of inactivity, and they detail the process of how they will do it. But then, more information is given in a customer help page, where they may close accounts immediately if required to do so because of a request and the account, they're certain the account is unused. But also that if an account is long-term inactive, they begin the process described above in order to maintain their database. But still in those documents, we don't exactly see a time frame of when the deletions will occur. And that is something that does feel rather fear-inducing. I mean, I have Rainbow Six Siege and a few other, I think some Assassin's Creeds, that I guess are my Uplay account. I haven't touched that thing in like 2 years probably, maybe even more than that. Are my games gone? I suppose it's time to find out. Now, the idea then that at any time Ubisoft can just decide you haven't logged in enough and they can nuke your account and your whole library, that does feel quite bad. And this perfectly follows on from a lot of the themes and the beats of our prior reporting on the pitfalls of a digital-only future. Because at the end of the day, Yves Guillemot, CEO of Ubisoft, he cannot reach into your house and pluck away your game disc and throw it into oblivion if you haven't logged into your Uplay account or played the game. But digitally, he can do that, can't he? Right? When you realize that you don't own games, you just have an expiring, at some point maybe, license to a game, that starts to feel bad. And this explains everybody's concern, just like it did the last time that this happened and everybody panicked. Because yes, everybody, time is a flat circle, and now I want you to travel back with me 2 years into the past, to 2021, when users actually reported the same issue, where Ubisoft were incorrectly flagging accounts for closure. Now, in this case, it was explicitly leading to the closure of an account that the user claimed they were not able to retrieve. Now, Ubisoft then said that they reached out and they tried to restore all of the purchases. And at the time, Ubisoft called this out as an anomaly, and PC World had this to say. Ubisoft officials, however, flatly insist that whatever happened in Tor's case isn't normal, and that it had never deleted anyone's account that hasn't been logged in for less than 4 years. The company also says that any account that has a purchased game tied to it will not be up for closure at all. So the idea that a junk account with nothing on it, no purchase games, so that could be deleted if it's not used in years, yeah, you do feel like it might be good to go and, prune the weeds in your database. And Ubisoft at the time did explain what they consider before taking this action, right? So they say that this is it. The gaming activity of the account since its creation. The ownership of PC games since the creation of the account. Accounts tied to purchased games are not eligible for deletion. And then the duration of inactivity, meaning the last login to the Ubisoft ecosystem, including if it is via Steam. While our terms of use is meant to reflect every possibility in practice, we've never deleted accounts that have been inactive for less than 4 years, and of course also the existence of an active subscription to Ubisoft Plus related to the account. They also then explained that they usually send 3 emails over 30 days, as well as an error warning when or if the user logs into their account. Now, this is not necessarily good, but it at least extends this out from a one and done. You missed the message, now you're gone. Ubisoft actually confirmed then that the exact same policy still applied in a statement that they gave to The Verge this week, right? Now, obviously, what's happened here is since 2021, nothing. They haven't improved their policy or even their messaging on this topic. And that leaves us in the situation that we're in right now, where the policy officially is that nothing will be deleted if a player has ever made a purchase on that account, and that even if they are deleting accounts, it will be after a significant period of inactivity, seemingly over 4 years. But accidents have happened where that policy has not been applied, and that means that everybody's looking around with a degree of suspicion. As an example, take this quick one, right? So somebody says, at Ubisoft support, if my account gets closed and I own games on Steam, can I still play them? Or do you revoke my games on Steam too? Ubisoft says, should I say, an Ubisoft rep, who is likely somebody in the equivalent of a call center on a little ticketing system, right, who's just following whatever rules, then tweets back, we are not closing active accounts. However, if you decide to close your Ubisoft account, you will not be able to play our games even if they have been bought in Steam, because as we know, they are purchased via Steam and then they are played via your Uplay or Ubisoft Play or whatever the hell it's called now account. So it just keeps getting worse. Ubisoft confirms that if your account is closed, you won't be able to play your games even if they were purchased on Steam. Now, there is a sort of a wrinkle in this, because this person said, however, if you decide to close your Ubisoft account, you won't be able to play your games. Now, that is the equivalent of me basically logging into Steam, deleting my Steam account somehow, I don't even know if you can do that, and then being like, okay, well, I can't play my Steam games because I just deleted my Steam account. So here, and I should say, by the way, there we go, another gaming Michael. There's plenty of us. He did later share the sort of the clarification that went on. But it's a thing of like, you can see how information spreads, because first we hear, oh, accounts are being deleted. And then this could be, I suppose construed as, oh yeah, we'll delete your account and then you won't be able to play your games, even the ones you bought via Steam. Even though this customer support agent, quite clearly, completely unaware of this broader situation, just put in a copy-paste. We're not closing active accounts. The policy also says they don't close accounts that have purchased games on them. But if you close your Ubisoft account, you won't be able to play our games, even if they've bought on Steam. And of course, that is because you don't actually own the Ubisoft game on Steam. Steam actually goes to Uplay. It's just like a storefront thing. That's kind of the way that it is. It's like, yeah, you delete your account, you can't play the games in your account. And that's weird. And here's actually what also gets interesting. Ubisoft are a bit of an anomaly in this practice, even with their expanded position of not deleting accounts with products attached, because Steam, Epic, and EA all have provisions where they can unilaterally remove or close your account just as Ubisoft do. If you breach the terms of service, you're deleted, including all of your things. And it's the same if you close an account of your own accord. What they do not have, though, is anything about doing this for the purposes of data management, because even Google, which will delete your account after 2 years of inactivity, has a caveat in their terms of service if your account has a digital item like a book or a movie attached, because if it does, it won't be deleted. I saw whenever this happened, somebody said, oh, but wait, Google account's being deleted? What about my YouTube account? If I'm inactive for years, you delete my account and therefore my YouTube? And then it turned out, oh, Google actually have a policy that a Google account attached to a YouTube account, at least a YouTube account that has uploads on it, that is not eligible for deletion. So it's one of those things. You can see how this could very quickly, spread and get rather spooky. Anyway, so there's that. Now, as a distinction here, Ubisoft are not American. They're a French company based in France, and that means that they are subject to General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. It's why if you are in the United States of America and you go to a website, you're on the website. Whereas if I go to a website, I then get a pop-up saying, hello, would you like to accept the cookies? How would you like to accept the cookies? And then generally they will use some form of dark pattern to make it look like more effort to protect your data, so people just end up clicking accept all and moving on. GDPR, well-intentioned, really annoying, the sort of thing people usually solve with a Chrome extension. Anyhow, it's Ubisoft's interpretation of it. Basically, GDPR protects users by ensuring that companies can be held responsible for data held on their customers. If a company holds data, there must be a valid reason, and they can only hold it for a certain amount of time, and they have to review and delete data when it's no longer necessary. There is a caveat about a small amount of personal data that must be retained after that for a fixed period of time for legal purposes and investigations. So, it's kind of like, yeah, but you can't go and delete the evidence, though. So if somebody basically is not using their Ubisoft account, then per their interpretation of GDPR, Ubisoft cannot continue to hold that data. Now, if they have a product in their account, you could then see how the interpretation of GDPR would say, well, there's a purchase thing in this account. We now still have reason to keep it open. What if the person wants to come back? Whereas if the account is completely inactive and completely barren, they won't, they'll be like, well, there's no reason to hold on to this. Oh, and because I think that there's now no reason to hold on to this account, I now legally have to get rid of it because of GDPR. And believe me, like GDPR fines, those can get big, right? Big pretty quick. But for another European example, let's talk about how CDPR interpret GDPR. Wahoo! Thought we were here to talk about games. Apparently not. But basically, right, they're based in Poland. And their interpretation of the GDPR regulation is that they only need to close an account when they are, it's when an account is closed, that's when they are required to delete the data. It's basically just two different interpretations of the same piece of regulation, and you can see the argument in either direction. But the problem here is that Ubisoft are applying the licensing element of their product as a solution to an entirely different scenario, because I suppose their whole thing of, do you need to hold this customer's information? They're basically saying if they have a purchase product, then yes, we do. So they're kind of using that. Basically, this is a consumer protection regulation, but now it's being used in a way that could, I suppose, punish some customers. At least when it's applied in a way that does not match Ubisoft's stated policy, like today's example. And there's not really going to be a way to change this quickly, because from Ubisoft's perspective, they're entirely correct in their interpretation of upholding these legal obligations, because if you breach GDPR, you are going to get completely fingered. You're going to get in trouble. Right? If a customer wants to go at you for that and they have a solid case, like you will be compelled to, and if you go against what you're compelled to do, you're going to get in trouble. Ultimately, then, what is this? This is basically just a reminder that all the digital infrastructure, even for the companies that we like, is precariously perched on a pyramid of corporate interests and regulatory interests and all of that stuff. That basically means that like people can be right to be a little bit scared about things, because when you hear your account's going to be deleted and maybe a mistake is made by a company and account is actually deleted, then it immediately trades in people's fears. Right? It trades in people's fears that I think we are quite rightly to be fearful of, because in the transition to digital, we don't really own our games anymore. At least certainly not in as profound a way as your console's not connected to the internet. You put the disc in, you play your game, you're done. That felt like ownership. Doesn't anymore. And it's things like this that make you actually realize the new reality born of our lust for convenience. A good thing did come out of this, and this is Ubisoft's policy. Inactive accounts with no PC purchases or active subscriptions may be closed in order to comply with data protection laws after long periods of inactivity. Accounts tied to an active Ubisoft subscription or PC games that have been purchased from the Ubisoft store are not eligible for deletion. We may close long-term inactive accounts to maintain our databases. You will be notified by email if we're in the process of doing that. So, as long as you're not the victim of a mistake, your video games are not in danger. But the idea that a mistake could take them away is certainly a decently unsettling one. Because otherwise, how is your game going to go away? Usually it would be because somebody broke into your house and stole your disc. That's, it feels a bit weird when it's digital. So there you go. If you've been seeing a lot of noise about the Ubisoft situation, now you understand it. Now hopefully you understand a few of the whys. And European regulations. It's the same reason that it seems like for us, people in the EU jurisdiction, or maybe just, whatever, who knows. It seems like we'll get USB-C on our iPhones this year, whereas in America, you'll get lightning cables. Now, if that means that the United Kingdom one, because we're not in the EU anymore, then I don't know. Maybe I'll go to the south and I'll buy a European iPhone because I sure as fuck want to have a one cable, a one connector future. And on that bright note, now you know about things. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to check in. I think there may have been another one we published today. If not, there certainly will be one tomorrow. So sub for that, and I'll see you next time.